My name is Michael, and I'm 30 years old. I run a construction business, which takes up almost all of my time, but it allows me to live a comfortable life. Nice apartment, expensive car, vacations twice a year, and no debt. I've been married to Emily for 4 years. She's 5 years younger than me, a beautiful, well-groomed woman who always knew how to present herself. Her hair is always perfect, her skin glows, and her nails and makeup look like something out of a magazine. She doesn't work, and she doesn't need to. I've always told her that in our home, she can do whatever makes her happy. That's all that matters. From what I know, her days are filled with meeting friends, shopping, going to the gym, and visiting beauty salons. It seemed normal to me, logical even. If I could provide, why shouldn't she enjoy it? But lately, I started noticing that Emily wasn't always happy. She kept complaining that I worked too much, that we spent our evenings apart. And when I tried to explain that without my job, none of this lifestyle would be possible, she just rolled her eyes. It felt like I was talking to someone who didn't want to listen. We argued more than I would have liked, but I tried not to dwell on it. After all, don't all couples fight? However, one fight was different. It started in the morning. Emily asked if I could take the day off to spend time with her. I was buried in reports, my head spinning from the issues with a new construction site. Delayed suppliers, workers demanding raises. It was chaos. I brushed her off, telling her that today was impossible, that I had too much to do. She was upset, but unlike before, she didn't throw a tantrum. Instead, her face hardened in a way that made it clear the evening would be even worse. When I got home that night, she didn't come to the door. She was sitting in the living room, glued to her phone. I tried to talk, but she was distant. The tension was thick. Then, she finally said it. "You treat me like I'm invisible. I don't feel loved." I told her I didn't understand what else she could possibly want. We had everything anyone could ask for. She just laughed bitterly and said the words that still echo in my head. "Money doesn't replace love and attention." I snapped. I grabbed my keys and walked out, slamming the door behind me. The next morning, I left for work earlier than usual. Emily didn't see me off. That was another sign, but I chose to ignore it. It was late in the afternoon when I got a call. Emily sounded panicked. "Michael, the pipe burst. Water is flooding from the plumbing. What do I do?" I was in a meeting and couldn't leave right away, so I told her to ask the concierge for a plumber's number. Honestly, I didn't think much of it. A leaking pipe? Annoying, sure, but nothing catastrophic. We'd dealt with worse before. Later, I found out what had really happened. The plumber she called lived in our building. His name was Jack, and I had heard of him before. Stocky guy with an arrogant smirk, known for being a hit with some of the women in the complex. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Why would I? He was just there to fix a pipe. That day, my workload was insane. Deadlines were slipping, clients were demanding explanations, and I was scrambling to figure out how to keep everything on track. Emily's call and her worried voice became background noise. I assumed she'd handle it. She was an adult. Calling a plumber wasn't rocket science. Around 9 p.m. I stopped for coffee at a gas station before heading home. I felt guilty about our fight and thought about getting her flowers. Maybe it would smooth things over. I picked up a bouquet of white lilies, her favorite, and drove home. When I walked through the door, Emily was waiting. She looked calm, freshly showered, her hair damp, her face bare of makeup. It struck me as odd, but I brushed it off. We talked briefly. She said the plumber fixed everything and didn't bring it up again. At the time, it didn't occur to me that there might be more to the story. But later, in the bathroom, I noticed something. The bath mat was still damp, and a faint musty smell lingered. Maybe the flood was worse than she let on. I thought about asking, but decided against it. I was too tired to deal with anything else. At dinner, Emily seemed distant. Normally, she loved talking about her day, her chats with friends, her workouts, but tonight her answers were short, almost mechanical. I told myself it was just the aftermath of our argument. Women like to exaggerate things, right? She only seemed to brighten up when I gave her the flowers. She smiled, but something about it felt forced. The evening passed quietly, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next few days were normal. I was buried in work, and Emily carried on with her usual routine. Gym, coffee with friends, shopping. But then I started noticing little things. She spent more time in the bathroom with her phone. Her morning outing stretched longer than usual. When I joked about how much coffee she and her friends must be drinking, she just shrugged and changed the subject. Then one evening, I came home early. The second I walked in, I smelled it. Men's cologne. It was faint, but unmistakable. I asked her if someone had been over. She didn't hesitate. "Oh, Jack stopped by to check the pipes again. You know, after the flood, just to be sure." It sounded logical, but something inside me tightened. I pictured him, the smug handyman, always a little too familiar with the women around here. I told myself I was being paranoid, but the feeling wouldn't go away. That night, as Emily slept peacefully beside me, I made a decision. I needed proof. I spent hours online researching hidden cameras. It was the lowest point of my life. I felt like a betrayer, invading her privacy. But I had to know. The next day, while Emily was at the salon, I installed them. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the bedroom. At work, I couldn't focus. My mind was back home. Throughout the day, I checked the footage. Nothing unusual. Emily went about her routine. Phone calls, coffee, scrolling social media. Maybe I really was imagining things, but that evening, everything changed. Jack arrived at noon. Emily greeted him like she was expecting him. She looked effortlessly pretty. Minimal makeup, her hair slightly tousled. They went into the bathroom together. No sound, just body language. He leaned in, said something, and she laughed, swatting at him playfully. Minutes later, they moved to the living room. She poured him coffee. They sat close. Then my stomach dropped. She placed a hand on his shoulder. He whispered something. She blushed, and then he kissed her. She didn't pull away. I shut the laptop. For a long time, I just sat there, staring at the wall. Everything was clear now. Emily, my wife, the woman I had built a life for, was cheating on me, and I had no idea what to do next.